Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the exec session for ED&A on retained bills. We have a really busy schedule. We should be out by 3. No, I'm just kidding. We won't be that. We only have a few bills, and I suspect this will go pretty quickly. I think we will start with those on the committee. We'll just start with a motion to go into exec session. I'll start with that. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Gotta shake the rust off a little. It's been a while. I think for the committee, the benefit of the committee, we'll just follow the schedule as it's written on the sheet here. The first bill we'll take up is House Bill 233, requiring meetings of the New Hampshire Vaccine Association to be audio and video recorded and published on its website within 48 hours. Do we have a motion? ITL motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion. I will just offer that this was a bill, when this came through, we asked the association to post their videos voluntarily, and they have done so. And so I agree, we do not need the bill any longer. And I want to give a thank you to Patrick for keeping me updated. We have, that they're doing that, so all is well. Any further discussion from the committee? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent? We can do consent on these, right? Yeah, okay.
Sure.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any volunteers to take this out?
Sure.
All right, Senator Gannon will take it out. Trevor, you give me a thumbs up when you're ready for me to go to the next one. All good? All right. I did not mention it. Our former aide, Kevin, has moved on to a different position within the Democratic Majority Office, right? Minority Office, Minority Office. And my aide, Trevor, is taking over, and thank you, Deb, for assisting today. All right, next will be House Bill 470, relative to the use of general anesthesia, deep sedation, and moderate sedation in dental treatment.
I'll move it on study on that.
Interim study has been moved. Do we have a second? Moved and seconded. Discussion?
Can I just ask why interim study, I think rules has taken care of it?
Yeah, so we'll just keep it in case anything changes, in case we want to talk about it further.
A request was made that we interim study it just in case we needed the vehicle at some point, but I believe you are accurate, and I agree with you that it looks like the situation is resolved in rules. And, so we were just honoring that request that was made. It's going to end up likely in the same place anyway. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Move consent.
Consent has been moved. All in favor? Aye. Would you like to take this one out? Senator Reardon? We'll take it out. Next will be Senate Bill 56. Ryan, are you all set? Ryan. Jeez, I don't want to keep doing. Trevor, are you all set? I know your name's not
Gonna
right.
get
I
your
keep
name
doing
like-
it. I'm gonna have to.
Motion to change.
Yeah, motion to change Trevor's name to Ryan.
You shall be known as Ryan. All in favor? Consent?
Well, I apparently don't need a motion. I just changed. Sorry, Trevor. All right, Senate Bill 56 is next, relative to consolidating New Hampshire Health and Education Facilities Authority within the Business Finance Authority. So we have an amendment that has been presented. James is here someplace, right? In the back. Would you mind coming up and explaining to the committee the changes in this amendment? I knew we had held the bill because there were some technical changes that needed to occur and some work that still needed to be done. So if you'd introduce yourself and turn your mic on. Perfect. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, I'm James Key Wallace. I'm the Executive Director of the New Hampshire Business Finance Authority. I would also say that Bonnie Payette, Executive Director of New Hampshire HEFA, is in the audience. If you have any questions for her, we're here together.
Okay.
So thank you to the committee for your signaled support last year and your patience to allow us to fix some technical things going into this session. The changes really were in two categories, and they're numerous technical changes, almost all related to ensuring the continuity of the bond documents as New Hampshire HEFA kind of comes in under the auspices of the New Hampshire BFA. There's a bunch of legal agreements they have in place. We wanted to make sure everything transferred properly. The other set of technical changes was modernizing some of the definitions in both statutes to just match current law, current best practice for the issuance of taxable and tax-exempt debt.
Is there any points in here that you want us to specifically look at that you want to point out that we should make note of? Actually in here, as far as referencing what page number and whatnot we should look at? Or are you okay with just a general overview?
I am okay with everything in there. Both agencies have reviewed it, and
Okay.
as council, we're totally fine. If there's anything I like to point out, it's that there's no fiscal impact. Neither of these agencies receive any state funding. No employees are being added or removed. This is just a back-end efficiency, do your mission better together proposal.
So overlaying changes.
Do we have any, Senator McHugh, you have a question?
So from consent, it came off consent back to committee. What was the biggest change you made here? What was the major change?
Yeah, the biggest change, if you were to do a line by line red line, and maybe if I have a copy, I could probably point exactly where to it is on the line, but the amendment.
Yeah, I have my sign here.
But thank you so much. But the biggest change was they were all definitional, right? So New Hampshire HEFA's existing board has certain statutory qualifications, right? Healthcare official, education official, right? Things like that. So making sure that those definitions were properly transferred to the added seats on the New Hampshire Business Finance Authority board. So that was a big change. Technical, important, but not really, complicated, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And then the next biggest change, if you were to look, I would say page 4, starting at line 20, you can see the definition of bond. That definition of bond has been revised to meet the modern standards of what the legal definitions of bond when you issue bonds through a state agency. There's actually a bunch of corresponding changes that I believe are all in bold that you can see defining, well, what is a security agreement and how is that
It was the
legally
same in
defined?
the original bill, though.
Exactly. So it all just,
That didn't
know,
change.
yeah, it's just modernization, makes sense.
Yes. Senator Altshuler with a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for taking my question. In the amendment with the definition of bond, could you read it again where that definition came from and as it relates only specifically to this legislation, or would this be applicable in other avenues?
Great question, Senator. Thank you. Yeah, this definition of bond is only specific to the bonds issued by the New Hampshire BFA and combined with New Hampshire HEFA. This is not the state of New Hampshire's bonds that are used to finance the functions of state government. These two agencies issue what are known as conduit bonds, which are private debt supplied to private entities, including for-profits and nonprofits,
Okay.
where we go in and ensure they are properly compliant with federal tax law, all the different things that they have to do to access that private market. They're not state debts, they're not state subsidized or funded. It's called a
Okay.
conduit bond.
May I follow up? So, so this particular definition would not this was developed for this specific piece of legislation, and this definition of bond could not be applied on a, state to another agency or municipality. This is,
100% correct.
okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks for the clarification. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Senator McGee with a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So sorry, we're getting up to speed. It's been 7 months
Yeah.
since we passed that definition of bond. We actually passed that exact definition in the original bill. It went on consent. So that language hasn't changed in the amendment. But we got this amendment at 8:25 last night. So I think we're all just kind of getting caught up 7 months later and going through the 4 or 5 pages and figuring out what's different, because it was a replace all. So it wasn't, there's no side-by-side comparison. So it's it takes a minute, at least for me.
Totally
Some of
understand.
the other folks, maybe not. That's why we're asking what's new in this, since it's literally a replace all.
I got it. I understand. Thank you.
So do you know, is there other things in here? The bond definition stuck out at me as well, but then I look back and see in fact, it was what we already passed.
So I think another example of a change, if you look at page 6, and again, this is just, the technical things that had to be worked out with merging two agencies. At the top of page 6, starting on line 3, what you see in strike through, I assume you're seeing what I'm seeing with a bunch of strike through, right?
Yeah.
So that was changed. That's the existing statutory language, right? Which is amended now to add the ability of the nonprofit bonding officer, which is the New Hampshire HEFA employee, coming on to be a signatory, not simply the New Hampshire BFA employees to be a signatory. So, again, a technical example, but actually pretty important because we need someone to sign the documents. That's an example. And then I think, I would point you to everything starting really on page 7. If you look 7 on down, that's having now gone through, with the help of OLS, all the different state statutes that have references to New Hampshire HEFA and replacing them with New Hampshire Business Finance Authority, cross-referencing different where it says, whereas founded in this year and on this day, making sure it lines up with actually the correct statutory reference.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Further questions from the committee?
So we previously,
Senator McGee? You have a question?
sorry, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we previously reduced the threshold of signatory authority from 2 persons down to 1. That was in the previous version, or is that in the new? That was in the previous as passed.
So
Yeah.
yes, so it was,
G and C is still there. Okay.
yeah, yeah. That'll,
Yeah, it would have to be. Sorry.
my apologies, I didn't realize this was to you so late.
Yeah, we essentially got it this morning. Any further questions? Senator Altshuler?
Thank you. This is kind of broad, maybe you can answer, maybe it's coming from the.
Mike?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe you can answer this. Maybe the answer comes from the table. On page 7, did this declaration of policy, is that folded in? Was that in the original amendment, or I'm sorry, the original as introduced somewhere that is just reordered?
Oh,
I'm on page 7, so
think that's
195D1, is that, yeah, was that in the original or is that an add-on? Just so I stop, like,
I actually
43.
don't know the answer to your question
Okay.
without that same, because I also don't have that same side-by-side red line.
I don't have a
So I think it's
side-by-side,
that
that's why I'm asking.
Senator, I believe 195, the declaration is current statute, and they just changed in reference on line 14. If you
Line
look, they've struck
14.
out health and education facilities and
I
just
do.
replaced it with business finance.
I see that. What my question is this section that's in the amendment, where is it, is this an add-on? Because it wasn't present in the first one?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. They
That's
did-
all, that's what I'm, I was trying to find it in the first one.
Yeah, I
and
don't.
I thought it was
don't see either.
reordered.
Yeah.
Okay, so
These are the
it's a-
references
it's a
that they're
new-
changing.
That's
It's
one of the things, one of
Got
the
it.
reasons they needed to do the
This is
amendment.
the
They
original?
didn't do it.
Thank
Okay.
anyways. Yeah.
So the declaration of policy is an addition to.
No, declaration of policy in statute, they forgot to make that correction from
Declaration.
health and education to business finance because we're renaming it. We're folding the two together. So in 195D1, they had to make that change, that strike through change in line 14. And they just didn't do it in the first draft.
That
It's
is,
not in here.
that is correct,
Yeah.
Senator. And thank you to the gentleman. I now have the copy of the original and I can
Alright.
confirm it's not in there. It was one of the additions from OLS. Thank you. Yeah.
But the whole declaration isn't new. The whole declaration was in statute. It's just that one
Reference, yep.
reference that had to be changed.
Yes.
Okay.
That's how I
Totally
read it.
making sense right now.
Yep.
That's
Alright.
marvelous.
Just-
Okay, great. Thank you.
Do we have any further questions from the committee? All right. I think we're okay.
Okay.
Everybody
Thank you very much.
All right. So I will move, I'll move the bill ought to pass, and then I'd like to offer amendment number 2025-2985S.
Second.
So I think we've just heard the explanation of what the amendment does, and everybody seems comfortable with it, making the changes, the technical changes to the original bill. So we'll vote on the amendment first. Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor of the amendment 2985S, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And then I'll move ought to pass as amended using that amendment. We have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And it's been moved. All in favor? Aye. And I'll take this one out. Trevor, are you all set? Trevor is all set. All right, next we will move on to Senate Bill 183, relative to membership of the Peace Development Authority Board of Directors.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to ITL. Discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it's a little premature. We just set aside another bill because it needed a little bit more work. So it's a little disappointing that my colleague, who is directly affected, whose constituents are directly affected, might maybe consider taking a little more time on this.
Well,
No? Pleasure working with you. All right. Yeah.
Senator, we do have a motion, and it doesn't seem to be the will of the committee to, or the member who made it, to pull the motion back, so I will certainly entertain further discussion if you have some. I'll give you the opportunity. You want to try and convince the committee members to do something different?
We have a proposal that came from Senator Ward that's very, very interesting, that the Peace Development Authority has not had sufficient time to review and actually has been rather embroiled in some incredibly difficult and time-consuming issues this summer. And I give them the full benefit of the doubt that this is, you know, a timing issue right now, but deserves another look.
Further discussion? All right, seeing no further discussion, the motion is ITL, all in favor? Aye. All opposed?
No,
3-2. I'm assuming you probably don't want this on consent, or?
No.
Okay.
no, thank you.
Senator Gannon, you made the motion, would you like to take it out? Next, we will do Senate Bill 187, adopting the Dentist and Dental Hygienist Compact.
Interim study on that. Second.
We have a motion for interim study in a second. I know this is of importance to you. Would you like to speak on it? Senator Reardon?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do think, I would rather interim study than see this go away.
Mhm.
And I will follow it. But I think we've heard the testimony that we're going to hear on this. There is a compact that's been adopted by numerous other states. And it has been worked on by the Department of Defense, the American Dental Association, the American Dental Hygienists Association, and I'm forgetting what the other entity, another entity that have all come together on this. The competing compact for me isn't even a competing compact. It requires a certain test done by a certain group. And I think we'll see some other legislation this year also that questions why we tamp down an industry that is in need here in the state of New Hampshire in order to satisfy, you know, somebody's will to be the tester and be the only one that collects the fees and does that testing. I think that's I won't use the adjective I'm thinking of to describe that. So this compact makes sense. It's lots of other states have adopted it without anything bad happening. We need hygienists in the state of New Hampshire. We need more dentists in the state of New Hampshire. And this is just a barrier to prevent some people from working here in the state.
Can I answer your question, Senator Reardon? I haven't thought about the bill.
Senator, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do you remember when they talked about the Marquette graduates not having to take a hand test? So it seemed to me like we were dumbing down standards and who's going to be doctors. So if I came from that state, I went to Marquette. I feel like you're almost like someone who took a bar exam. Oh, you don't have to take it in our state, but you'll get to practice here. So am I off on that?
So somebody can correct me if I'm in
Sure.
error, but you still have to complete, you still have to be able to pass the standards of the state that you're coming to.
Okay, thank you.
Senator McGee.
I'm a sponsor of the bill and I support most compacts and I want to see us get a compact in the state for sure. I think I have some reservations on this one when the Board of Dental Examiners doesn't support it and my own hygienist doesn't support it and other friends in the dental industry, like my own dentist doesn't. So that gave me some reservations, even though I'm a sponsor of the bill. So I'll follow it closely and work for us to get some compact here at some point, for sure. So those were the reservations I had.
I'll just say that the state of New Hampshire has already done 49 CSG compacts we've already adopted here in the state. And I think sometimes, especially in something this big, this is by far the heaviest file of any file that I have paper-wise. Something that big, there could be minor things in there that need to change. And we're going to be around for a while. And if not us, other legislators will be around to pick those up. But I'm going to say that dentists have a vested interest in their Board of Dental Examiners being the examiner with their test, which is exclusive, which is fine, they disagree with this, but they're the barrier. They're the problem that we're trying to fix here. So I'm sure they did speak up, and maybe you've talked to, the 10 people who don't agree with this one, like the other compact, but I think we're being foolish to restrict people from working in the state of New Hampshire that are otherwise fully qualified, and 25 other states or more have adopted this, and they can go to work there instead.
How many have adopted it? I thought it was like 10 or 11.
Angela, correct me. 15.
15 now? Okay.
15.
I think at the time of the hearing, was it maybe 11?
Yeah.
At the time of the hearing, I thought it was 11. So they've got 15 now, so. Okay.
But
Good.
not New Hampshire.
Good.
No, not New Hampshire.
We'll get there.
Well, I very much agree with all of what you all have said. I couldn't quite get there yet. I feel like I like the compact. I'm very much supportive. In fact, I think I sponsored this as well. And I just don't know that I quite got to the questions answered that I needed to for it to move forward right now. But I agree with you. I want to see us work toward getting one done. I'd really like to see the stakeholders on the same page. That would make this very easy for us to do. I don't know that we're ever going to get there. And, I don't enjoy when we have to be the referees in an industry discussion like that, because I personally don't possess the technical knowledge to do it. But, so I think we have a motion right now for interim study, and I think I can support that right now, but I very much am committed to seeing this get through at some point. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, the motion is for interim study. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 3-2. It's going to have to be one of us, because I can't ask you to take it out.
I'll take it out.
Senator McGinn. Do you want this on, are you okay on consent, or do you not want it on consent? Okay. All right. On the regular calendar. All right, next up will be Senate Bill 191, and this is relative to the registration of vehicles in a fleet of 25 or more. This is actually a bill that I brought, and you've been here, Joe. Oh, we got both. Either one or both of you, would you like to come up and speak, Joe or Bob? I'm going to ask the Team Scully to come up and just give a quick update on this, because we are still working on it, and we have some other ideas of where we'd like to see it go. But I want them to give you a little bit of description of what we're thinking and why we're not there yet. So turn your mic on, please, whoever would like to take it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. So our understanding of Senate Bill 191 is an attempt to help the trucking industry in the registration of trailers over a period of time to try to reduce its burden administratively. My one comment I had when we testified, I just want to bring your attention to, again, on Roman 2 of the bill, where you refer to a fleet of 25 or more, you need to strike that. I would just remove that number or put it down to 3. And the reason for that is most of the trucking companies in New Hampshire are not anywhere near 25 or more. But what happens in New Hampshire now, if your vehicle is registered and stays overnight in the town for over 6 months, you must register your trailers in New Hampshire. A lot of trailers are registered out of state, particularly in Maine, to avoid the municipal fee. And if your company has a physical location in Maine, that is totally legal. Okay? If not, it's not. We don't condone that, but that's the reality of what's going on. We are looking at, in discussions with Senator Pearl, we're looking at a somewhat detailed program that might be able to include a municipal fleet on the tractor side, on the power units. It is somewhat detailed and complicated, and just to explain it right now, so our registrations in New Hampshire go through a program called IRP, International Registration Plan, and we distribute percentage-wise revenue to other states based upon the miles driven in the other states. So that's how that money goes out right now. We are taking a look at seeing if, in fact, we can create a similar type plan that would also include the municipal fees okay? That would be administered at the state level versus the town level. And we would attract revenue coming from truckers that are just traveling through our states that are not here in our state, okay? Based on their miles that they travel in New Hampshire. And then in theory, the miles that the New Hampshire guys drive, their revenue would be reduced by the miles that are out of our state. This has happened in, this program has been instituted 13 other states? 13 states. And the result is that there's more revenue coming into the state that makes its way back to the towns, and there's less revenue paid by the New Hampshire companies. So there's quite a few challenges here. We have not met with anyone from the municipal association, from BIA yet. We also haven't, we have met with, but don't have the information we need from the Department of Safety yet to plug the numbers in. But that's a 50,000 foot view of trying to mimic a program that's already in place for registrations to include it for the municipal fees to be distributed, reduce our burden on the industry and to be distributed back to the local communities and more than they're collecting now. That's how it is supposed to work. Did I miss anything, Joe?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the update. So
Yep.
this is why I'm asking us to hold it. We have until December to report our bills out of committee. And we're making a diligent effort to try and put forth a better bill, but we've just not been able to get all the details worked out yet. So my intention is to bring us back Thanksgiving morning. No.
I'm in town.
Senator, we are working on language to get to you. We don't have it yet. And if I'm going to follow the process of the association, our board has not also voted on this yet. So
We have a little
you don't
bit more
need that to move forward, I know, but
Right. We have a little bit more time than I've indicated.
Yeah.
I had my dates mixed up. The November is for signing off on bills, not out
Okay.
of committee. So we have until early December.
that's what we're working on.
Yes. So my intention is to bring us back sometime, depending on when we have the language. There's actually 3 bills I'm going to ask us to hold, and I will just make sure I keep on top of when we have the info ready, and I'll bring us back either sometime in the latter part of November or early December to dispatch these last 3. So thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. So for now, Senate Bill 191 is on hold, still here in committee. Senate Bill 298 is relative to sober living house certification and operational standards. And Joe, if you want to come back up again, and I don't know if you want to bring Jake with you too. So if, for the benefit of the committee, if you recall, we had some stakeholders that had come in on this bill. I apologize, I'm a little hoarse today. We had some stakeholders that come in on this bill and were willing to work together over the summer, and they have been. So, I give them kudos for that. They aren't quite there with the language yet, but from my understanding, they're close. But I'm going to give it to both of you for an update.
I'll just briefly start and then turn it over to Jake. This
Just introduce yourself.
Joe Scully, proud resident of Concord, New Hampshire, and I always say I just have a personal interest in this, and is no way related to my professional duties. Senator Avard had put this bill in at my request. I quickly learned that the language needs a lot of work. I've been privileged to work with stakeholders like New Futures, Partners for Recovery Residences, HHS on fixing the language. We've met several times over the summer, and we're still in progress. And so, Jake, with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jake Berry. I'm the Vice President of Policy at New Futures. We're, as I hope you know, we're a nonpartisan, nonprofit health policy and advocacy organization. We've been working for nearly 30 years to address substance use and mental health issues in our state. One area of focus us for a good time now has been recovery housing. That really is just an absolutely critical element to helping us overcome our ongoing addiction crisis. We have worked hard to increase availability and accessibility of recovery housing. And one area that we have been really interested in pursuing for some time now has been mandatory certification of recovery houses. We think that is one of the strongest things that the state can do to improve the health and safety of individuals in recovery. Currently, and for the last several years, we've had a voluntary certification system in the state. And so we were really glad and appreciative when Joe and Senator Avard brought this bill forward last year, really pursuing this concept of mandatory certification. As Joe said, there were some sort of technical challenges with the bill and the way that it was written that we're trying to work, that we are working through. This has also given us an opportunity to connect with other states. Over the years, we've been following this. Other states have pursued mandatory certification in a thoughtful and sort of mature way. And so we've really worked hard over the last 3 or 4 months to connect with those states. We have had working with our partners at DHHS and with the state certifying authorities, the New Hampshire Partnership for Recovery Residences. We have met with Rhode Island, Arizona, Ohio are 3 of the states that we think have the best models to pursue to really kind of glean best practices and figure out how they're making this work. We have worked through with them sort of what model works best in terms of timelines. We want to make sure that as we unroll this, that we give houses enough time to get registered. We don't want, there's still a severe shortage of recovery houses in the state, and we don't want to do anything that's going to put anybody out of business and sort of lessen our availability of this critical resource. So we're really trying to look at what other states have pursued for timelines. Resident rights is a really important part of this, right? To make sure that residents have the authority they need to look out for their own personal health and safety. So we're really looking at what other models states have employed there. And then just other sort of specifications around the oversight, what resources need to be in place and so on and so forth. So we have completed our meetings with these other states. We are really reviewing what we've learned, really trying to put pen to paper to put together a draft amendment that we expect to have for you guys in the next, hopefully in the next 2 or 3 weeks, if that works for you.
Well, thank you both for the work you do, and I appreciate it.
Sure.
We look forward to seeing the results of that. Senator Reardon?
Thank you. And I appreciate the work that you're doing. And what I'm hearing is it's a lot of industry-centered conversation about what is best for the sober living house. But I think my experience from the district I live in is there's a lot of other people affected that surround the sober living. And
Sure.
talk to me a little bit about how you're gathering those voices.
Yeah, that's certainly going to be part of our process next, right? In terms of once we have a kind of draft ready, is to really go out into communities to talk to the housing operators themselves to make sure that it works for them. But also, we know the success of a recovery residence deeply impacts the health and safety of a community as well. We want to make sure that in that process we are engaging. Neighbors and stakeholders and communities. It's something certainly that's on our mind that we will pursue.
And Jake, one of the things I learned from working with you all is there are procedures in place like complaint process, for example, right? If things are not going well at the house and there's a process to handle those. And I believe another one that we've discussed is it annual or biannual recertification? So if something was not going well with one of the houses, that it would not be recertified and therefore could not operate under this bill. Is that right?
Yeah. So thank you for that, Joe. Yes, I absolutely should have mentioned that this is an inherent and built-in part of the certification process, is engaging with neighbors like this, right, and giving neighbors an opportunity to be heard and certainly to file complaints. And as Joe indicated, and I should say, I'm not the expert on certification itself. I know that our colleagues from the Partnership for Recovery Residents are here in the room, would be happy to answer questions about that in particular. But that is an inherent built-in part of the certification process, for sure.
Well, thank you for your work. We'll look forward to having you bring us a final product and an explanation of how it'll all work, and we'll give you a little time to speak of that when we meet again.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Excellent. Any further questions from the committee? All right, seeing none. Thank you both. So again, that is Senate Bill 298, and we are going to hold that. Our last bill is. All right, our last bill is Senate Bill 301. This is a bill that was brought by Senator McHugh, creating a joint legislative oversight committee. I'm going to ask us to also hold on that. This bill was re-referred to us, and I'd like Senator McHugh to have an opportunity to work out some of the concerns that were raised, why it was brought back here. So I'll give you an opportunity to speak on it if you want to, or if you don't want to, that's up to you.
We have a couple minor
Okay.
details to work out. We actually did come to a nice compromise. It came out 5-0, was on consent, and then there were a couple things that were brought up, and so we have a couple minor tweaks, and since we're coming back anyway, so we'll get it perfect and bring it back.
All right. Any further comments from the committee on 301? All right. How'd we do, Trevor? All right. You get everything you need? All right. So that is the end of our retained bills. As I stated earlier, I will look to see the progress on these three bills, and my intention is to bring us back sometime towards the end of November or as early as I can. How's that? But likely it will be sometime later part of November or maybe early December. And I know Senator Reardon mentioned she had some travel plans. I do as well. And as we get into the middle of December, so if you have specific dates that you folks are going to be out of town, if you want to, send them to me and I'll make sure to try and work around that so that we can accommodate everyone's schedule. Anything else anyone wants to bring up? All right, with that, our work is done, so I'll take a motion to come out of executive session. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. And we are done. What is it Senator Gray always says?
Motion to adjourn.
Do we want to, we don't want to adjourn because that finishes us up. All right, we usually just end for the day. And in the words of Senator Gray, with our work being done for the day, we are done.